Oliver Wakeman, and I'm here to talk to you today about my new record, Anam Cara. Lonely was that, I think everybody's gone through that story or that thing with a friend where they say, oh, if we haven't married in 10 years, we'll get together and we'll get married. You know, that old thing. And I sort of thought, loads of people had said this sort of, actually it makes it sound like loads of people have said, oh, I won't marry you now, but if you give me 10 years, then maybe you'll be worth marrying. It wasn't meant like that at all. It was that story that you often hear from people. And I thought it'd be really interesting to write a song around that. So I took it from the point of view of the person, the lady waiting in a restaurant at the date they agreed 10 years later, and the guy doesn't show. And the story behind this one is, it's not particularly about any particular people, but it was about the two people have chosen different paths in life. And the person that's waiting at the restaurant is the person that has spent their whole life waiting for that 10 years to pass to get to that point. So they've waited their whole life to get to that point. Whereas actually what's happened is the other person has followed their dreams. And so I did it musically. Basically, the music then suddenly builds into a crescendo of musicians going nuts on stage. And it's like somebody has followed their dream to go and do what they want to do. And so the whole song, it really is about not just waiting for something to happen for you. It's actually following the dream, doing what you want to do. So that's the basis of the story, which is, even though it's that obvious, let's wait 10 years and then we'll get married, it's more a story about how it's important to follow the thing you want to do, follow the dreams that you do, no matter how ridiculous other people think that it is. I remember when I was a kid in school, and I remember standing up, and they did this thing where, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I was 8 or 9. So what do you want to do when you grow up? And people stood up and said, I want to be, I don't know, a train driver, I want to be a lawyer, I want to be whatever. And I stood up and I said, I want to either be a snooker player or a piano player. And everyone laughed at me. The whole class laughed at me. And I remember thinking to myself, I'm not going to let people do that to me. I'm going to do what I want to do. Even if I have to do other things along the way, I'm going to do it. And it's odd now, I get messages occasionally from people that I used to go to school with and say, oh, so it's really interesting to see what you've done, doing a new record, you know, and doing music. Anybody that does anything arty will know that you are, you know, it's such an easy world now for people to criticize somebody for doing something. So it's very easy to not do something because somebody else will say to you, that's rubbish. It doesn't matter. You do what you want to do, whether it works or it doesn't work. I sort of think to myself with music, you're doing something that some people will hate, but other people will get something from it. And you have to build that sort of resistance to it. And that's really where that song comes from. It's about that not being scared and not just thinking, oh, well, it'll be all right in 10 years. We'll just get to that point and then everything will be better. It's like you've got to make an attempt to do something different. Whether it doesn't have to be something particularly special like music or anything. It could just be making a change or doing something that you want to do. So that's the idea behind that song.
I can't believe you didn't show. I thought that we had a deal. It was 10 years ago to the day we both agreed this was for real. I said I'd meet you at table 4 in the restaurant by the marketplace.